Hello everyone, welcome back to another Watchin. Today we're going to take a look at the RGMT Field Master. Before we get to that, we'll do a quick wrist check and you'll see that I am wearing my electrician's Mocaz. I still haven't figured out if that's the correct way to say the name, but I do love this watch and quite a few other people do as well. A lot of people ask me about this one. Really cool piece. I'm going to take this one off, set it aside, and we are going to take a look at this RGMT. So this is one that was either on my watchgang black membership watch, which is the $99 tier level, or this is one that I got on a wheel spin, and the wheel spin I believe was still valued at that $99 level. So before I got this one, I honestly did not know much about RGMT, and I'll tell you, I've actually started moving away from some of these large and in charge watches and going for something lighter, which is crazy because that electrician's I was wearing is actually pretty large as well, but because it's a composite case, it's not that heavy. Now, this RGMT Field Master does have a Japanese chronograph movement, which I did some looking. Everything online didn't actually tell you what the movement was. Kind of interesting. So you can see that is a 1/10 of a second, a 1 second, and then we've got the minute over there. I did looking online for this to actually find the movement, and then I happened to actually crack open the instruction books, and that's where I found out that Japanese quartz movement is a VD57. Now, those movements aren't crazy expensive. I think they can be had for around $25 to $30 for the movement itself. Now, crazily, I actually kind of kept this watch partially because I used the flashlight and really liked the flashlight. So that sounds a little ridiculous to keep a watch for a flashlight that's rechargeable that you could probably buy fairly cheap. Now, the model number of this particular one is the RG-8005-22. I actually really like the dial on this one. I like the dial color and the texture that's in the dial. You know, the date window's in a little bit different position in between 4 and 5. This watch does have a screw down crown, and it has quick date set. So a couple things after wearing this that I noticed that I liked and that I didn't like. I actually really like the case design. It's big, beefy. I like the angles on it. And I do like the way the lugs come down and are solid. The bad part about that in the same breath is it kind of limits you as far as being able to change the bracelet. I actually would like this a little bit better if I could throw it on a nice rubber strap, something a little lighter weight. But as you can see, when you flip it over, you have very, very small link there to actually be able to swap that out. The interesting part is I was looking on our RGMT's site and I did not see anything there as far as them offering a rubber bracelet for this or a rubber strap. I definitely would go for that. You can see the RGMT logo on the back and that this watch is 100 meter water resistant. They also have the RGMT on the buckle. Now, the buckle itself is actually not that bad. It's not a standard stamped steel, but when you get to the clasp pieces and the end pieces, as well as that push button clasp section there, it's a little bit cheaper. I don't know that I would have any issues with that. I mean, a lot of the watches I have a very similar bracelet buckle setup, and I haven't had issues with them. We talked a little bit about the movement in this one, the quartz movement with the battery in it. The battery is said to last 3 years, so I'm sure that would depend on how much you actually use the chrono. Something I was going to point out that I don't like about the chronograph movement that's in this one, when you stop it and you reset it, I don't like that it has to unwind. More and more I've been liking a lot of the Mecha Quartz movement with that snapback or flyback quality to them. couple other things that I did not like about this. If you look, the second hand seems to match up so-so as it clicks around. There are times where it's dead on, there are times where it's off, and honestly, sometimes I think even pulling and stopping and setting and doing things is what actually is bumping off that section there. The other thing I found, if you look at the indices on that outer ring, they actually seem to match up pretty good, except for the one at the 12 o'clock position. All the other ones line up pretty good. And then you can see that one at the 12 o'clock looks like it's kicked over just a little bit. Now, you'll also notice that the loom blip on the bezel is kicked over towards the crown. It's more apparent when you look at it, actually even at the way that lug in the bezel lines up in between the two lugs of the case. Now, it doesn't list the number of clicks, and I guess I could have gone through and counted the clicks. But, oops, sorry. What I found on watches, you hear that gearing is not a super fine gear as I click through. So when you think you have it lined up, if you look at how much springback action is in that bezel. So if it were to be lined up where it should be, it's right before it clicks over to the next spot. That honestly is pretty annoying because it's so close. But like I said, I found that happens on the bezels that have not as fine of a gearing in them. I promise I'm going to stop spinning it around. I just wanted you guys to see that there. The other thing I noticed that I didn't notice until I hit it with the black light is actually, you can see right there on the inner bezel, there is almost like a chip taken out of the finish. And honestly, when I hit it with the black light, there's an area over here that I can't actually see with my naked eye that does illuminate as well. Overall, you know, for the price I paid, because this was on a $99 subscription, came with a super cool, you know, rechargeable light that, yeah, you could probably buy one for 10-15 bucks. So I don't know that's that big of an ad, but I actually really like that light. It's not a bad piece in that $100 range. You know, this is how it looks on my roughly 7-inch wrist. You can see I removed 3 links out of the bracelet, and I had to use the micro adjustments. So it's all the way to the last adjustment on the micro to get it to fit. It's kind of heavy. I do think it fits my wrist fairly decently, considering this is a larger watch. This one has a 44 millimeter, or a 46 millimeter size. Usually I don't go over 45, but this one doesn't fit too bad. The case thickness is 15 millimeters, so this one is a pretty thick one. You know, for the $100 I paid for the subscription price, I don't think it's a bad piece. Now, if you go to their website, it's listed at $560, which blows me away. It's kind of like all of these brands with their crazy MSRPs. Let's go dark really quick and take a look at the loom. And here we are in the dark. And I actually haven't even charged up the loom yet. That is just from it being under my lights when I'm recording. So you can't really see some of the spots I was talking about. Also, I'm in a room that's not full dark, so I don't know how bright it will shine, but if you notice, you can really see that chip out of the finish on the inner dial, and you can see that other little one right there as well, right above the 2 o'clock indice on that inner dial. Like I said, they're hard to notice unless you're really, really staring at them, but get that loom charged up. I will say the loom is actually pretty awesome on this one. I like that even all the numbers on the subdials have loom, full loom, second hand, and loom around the bezel. So actually the loom on this one is pretty nice. Back in the light. I really like the look of this one, and you know, even with some of those small issues at the price I paid, I think it is a pretty solid weekend warrior. I don't know that anyone would notice those issues right off the bat. If they saw the watch and wanted to comment on it, they would just think it's a pretty decent looking watch, which is kind of how I feel. You know, you can see right now, I can see the second hand seems to be lining up kind of. So that's the problem I have, and a lot of you guys have as well, is we tend to super stare and pore over these watches as we're looking at them, and then all of those little things start to add up and just drive you nuts. But this one will get some wrist time. It probably will get beat up quite a bit, and we'll see how it looks as time goes on. Let me know what you guys think of this one in the comments below. As always, guys, thanks for watching.